Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to take the sources you give us, dig in, and pull out the key stuff so complex topics become, well, easier to get your head around.
Exactly. And today, we're looking at something pretty exciting, a 4IR utility token. We've got some recent audio notes to work from.
Right. Our mission really is to unpack the strategy, the sort of layers of thinking, and the long-term vision for this token and its whole ecosystem.
Yeah, this material gives a fascinating peek sort of under the hood
It
at the
is.
strategy and where this thing might be headed. What really jumps out is this theme of resilience and a definite global ambition.
Definitely. Now, before we really get into it, just a quick shout out to our sponsors.
Ah, yes.
This deep dive is brought to you by blockchaincompany.info, great media platform for blockchain stuff, and sponsored by the 4IR utility token itself and 4IR GPT.
And you should check out the ecosystem at 4irtoken.com. Plus, 4irgpt.com is their AI knowledge platform. Really interesting concept.
It is. You can sign up there, monetize your expertise using prompts. They even give you 10 free credits to start your own prompt media channel.
And for creators, say YouTubers, it looks like a genuine way to add a revenue stream. Offering deeper AI insights via prompts, maybe even growing your reach through their network.
It's a clever setup. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the BC Podcast's YouTube channel. Keep an eye out for updates, maybe even win some 4IR credits. Those are super useful for 4IR GPT.
Good tip.
Okay, so back to the mission. Understanding the strategy, the unique position, the potential, especially for a bootstrap company with these new developments popping up. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. So the audio notes, they don't shy away from the difficulties, do they? They talk about tornadoes in the go-to-market phase. What did you take from that?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me was this idea of resilience and that day one mentality they mentioned, like Jeff Bezos always talked about.
Right, always acting like a startup, hungry, agile.
Exactly. Constantly learning, adapting. Because if you stand still in tech, you're basically going backwards.
Yeah,
Right?
totally. And it seems like that very resilience might be attracting some, well, unexpected attention, like this outreach from a law firm in Saudi Arabia, XX Legal.
That's the really intriguing part, isn't it? Why would a Saudi law firm specializing in international business setup reach out to what's described as a small, bootstrapped blockchain company? There are thousands of startups globally.
That's the million-dollar question, or maybe the multi-million token question. What did they see? Especially when you think about Silicon Valley, London, all these huge tech hubs.
So what do we know about this law firm, XX Legal?
Well, the notes say they help international firms set up shop in Saudi. Tailored advice, navigating regulations, transactional support. It sounds like they're actively scouting for companies that fit where Saudi Arabia is heading.
And Saudi Arabia itself sounds, well, pretty appealing for foreign businesses right now.
Very. The potential for 100% foreign ownership, sometimes zero required capital.
Plus, huge opportunities in AI, fintech, smart cities. It's all part of their big Vision 2030 plan to grow the private sector.
Right. And the thinking around how to engage with this firm is smart, too. The idea of potentially paying their fees using the 4IR token.
That's more than just clever accounting for a startup, isn't it? It's a massive vote of confidence in their own token.
It really is. It says, we believe this has real future value. And the notes hint this interest might be linked to blockchain company getting more media attention lately, so their outreach seems to be working.
Okay, so this brings us to the bigger picture. Macroeconomics, geopolitics. The audio mentions things like U.S. debt, inflation risks, maybe a pragmatic business approach from the current U.S. admin affecting markets.
Yeah, and even this idea of a potential shift towards technocracy, where tech expertise becomes more central to how things are run. How do these big trends play into something like this token?
Well, it feels like it's all connected. Uncertainty in traditional finance plus rapid tech change. It creates fertile ground for new solutions,
Yeah.
especially AI and blockchain-based ones.
Definitely. And the audio is smart to acknowledge the crypto scams and fraud. You can't ignore that history.
No, you can't. But it also makes the point that the underlying blockchain technology itself is solid.
That's the crucial difference. Look at Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Right.
They've held up relatively well compared to thousands of tokens that just, disappear because they had no real value or business behind them.
Which brings us right back to the 4IR token's positioning. It started at 64 cents, now trading what? $1.35, $1.48. Even on low volume, that suggests something's there.
But the real kicker seems to be the regulatory approval, getting the nod from the AMF in France. That sounds like a tough, long process.
It is. The AMF is France's main financial regulator. Their approval means serious scrutiny, serious compliance, That sets them apart hugely.
It gives them credibility, trust, which is gold in this space, right? The audio contrasts their approach, building actual products, an ecosystem like Apple or Google with all
Oh.
the hype-driven projects that fizzled out.
And the long-term vision, pretty bold, talking about potential value of $100 to $1,000 by 2030.
Ambitious, yeah. So how do they plan to get there? The go-to-market strategy seems key.
Right. Using platforms like YouTube, Twitter, build awareness, get people signing up for 4IR GPT, and then naturally, hopefully, drive interest in the token itself.
And those early YouTube numbers are pretty striking. 50,000 subscribers quickly, lots of watch hours,
Yeah.
shows the potential reach. Getting to 4,000 watch hours for monetization, that'll be the next step.
But the really interesting strategic bit, I thought, was targeting the global south. Africa, Caribbean, South America, parts of Asia.
That's sharp. The thinking is huge populations and potentially lower marketing costs than, say, North America or Europe.
It shows they're thinking about global shifts, doesn't it? The rising economic influence there, the demographics, higher birth rates compared to the declining rates in the global north.
Exactly. They mention Aliko Dango as an example of wealth generation within the global south. It's about tapping into markets that are poised for major growth.
It feels like a smart, maybe overlooked angle. Okay, so let's loop back to that Saudi law firm. Why would they be interested? What's the value prop for them?
Well, the audio suggests they probably see the potential of this 4IR tech fitting right into Saudi's Vision 2030. The kingdom's investing heavily in tech, trying to diversify away from oil.
Makes sense. So a blockchain company, especially one with an AI knowledge platform, could look very attractive.
Highly likely. And the proposed deal structure is fascinating. Pay us in 4IR tokens and introduce us to your network, maybe sovereign wealth funds, government contacts.
That's a creative way to leverage the law firm's influence, especially for a bootstrapped operation.
Yeah.
Sovereign wealth funds, for anyone listening, are those massive state-owned investment pots.
It could be win-win. The law firm gets in early on a potentially high-growth digital asset, looks cutting edge within KSA, and the 4IR ecosystem gets access to serious players and capital.
The comparison to early Bitcoin investors, the 1% who saw the potential early, it really drives home that long-term vision.
You need that foresight for these kinds of transformative plays.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive here, we've looked at a startup showing real grit, real resilience.
Yep. We've explored this really intriguing potential opening in Saudi Arabia via that law firm outreach tied into Vision 2030.
We've seen the smart strategic focus on the global south, leveraging demographic and economic shifts.
Plus, the unique edge from that AMF regulatory approval and this ambitious long-term plan connected to the whole fourth industrial revolution. AI, blockchain, all converging.
Absolutely. So just a final reminder, this deep dive was supported by blockchaincompany.info. Check them out for blockchain news and sponsored by the 4IR utility token and 4IR GPT.
That's right. Head to 4irtoken.com to explore and sign up at 4irgpt.com. Grab those free credits. Try out Prompt Media.
And do subscribe to the BC Podcast's YouTube channel. More talks like this, plus chances for 4IR credits giveaways.
So as we finish, maybe a thought for you, our listener, to take away. With this fourth industrial revolution really changing everything and seeing these strategic moves by projects like the 4IR token, what other opportunities might be hiding in plain sight within these big global shifts? Something to chew on, perhaps.